Why does it always happen to me? What is the meaning of this pain? Will it ever go away? Why does it seem like every time things are going well, something bad has to happen? Is there a purpose to my suffering? By the end of this video, you'll understand the purpose of your suffering and how it could actually help you on your journey to becoming the best you. So, grab yourself a cup of tea, stay tuned, and let's talk about it. Hello, Howell family. I'm your host, HC. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Tea with HC, where we talk about the issues that concern you on your journey to being true to you. In this episode, we're discussing the purpose of suffering. It is not uncommon to feel lost, alone, and to feel in distress, mentally, spiritually, and even physically on your journey to becoming the best version of yourself. This affliction is often caused by our perception of the difference between where we are and where we think we should be, or rather, where we want to be. This truth often leads to confusion because it is easy to believe that our suffering is endless and that our current state of being is where we are forever doomed to be. Suffering is defined as experiencing or being subjected to something bad or unpleasant, which can be an ailment, but in this context specifically, it is simply a state of being that we absolutely want to escape from, and that we find no happiness or peace in. However, it is important to accept that sometimes our suffering can be our greatest teacher. Suffering can reveal the areas of our lives that need growth and alert us of our weak points so that when this time does pass, which it will, we can do better going forward. For example, let's say you're a child that never wanted to brush his teeth. Your teeth always looked fine, and your breath never smelled that bad. So, what is even the point? Why do your parents always try to force you to do something that you don't even want to do, right? So, for weeks at a time, whenever your parents told you to go brush your teeth, you would go in the bathroom, turn on the pipes for a few minutes, and then leave and head straight to bed. Unfortunately for you, after some time of not brushing your teeth, you start to feel tremendous pains in your mouth. And no matter what you do, the pain is unbearable, and it prevents you from even getting a good night's sleep. Could it be because you didn't brush your teeth? Impossible. How could this much pain come from just not cleaning your teeth, right? Needless to say, now you have cavities, and your parents had to take you to the dentist to have them removed. Another very uncomfortable procedure. As denoted in this example, sometimes the truth about what we must do is right in our face, but we choose to ignore it, take things for granted, and believe that we are so clever that we can outdo or step over the lessons in our lives necessary for growth. However, because of the suffering, you are made aware and prompted to do better. In this case, the child is unlikely to skip brushing his teeth again, and he is now sure of why. I'll help you understand how suffering can encourage a better version of you by inciting action, encouraging appreciation, and by humbling you. Hopefully, by then, I could enjoy some of this warm tea. First, suffering incites action. Although it's never fun to suffer, there's usually a hidden lesson in every lived situation. Think of your dis-ease as a compass to help you in your search when there's nothing that appeals to you in your surroundings. You will come to notice that your suffering can incite unique thoughts and encourages actions in hopes of changing your circumstance. Therefore, such suffering can be seen as having been heaven sent for you to start feeling an empty point in your heart to stimulate the desire to move past your circumstances. Simply put, it's a natural instinct to want to survive and escape the suffering and to avoid its reoccurrence. For example, let's say you're a forgetful person and you're always losing your belongings. However, because you have never lost something significant, you always play it off and say, I'll remember and do better next time. And you do nothing to actually change your circumstance. In this scenario, it is likely that you continue on with the same habitual actions because nothing of impact is swaying you towards a change. However, let's say one very cold winter night, after a night out with friends, you go to your house only to remember that you forgot your keys at the diner. And to make it even worse, you also forgot to charge your phone. So now you have no choice but to spend the remainder of the night outside or walk to your nearest friend's house, which is 20 miles away, in the cold, by foot. Because of the acute amount of discomfort and distress felt by having to go through that night alone as a result of your absent mindedness, you are more likely to pay much more attention to your things. Because you are familiar with how your mind works, you may even adopt new habits, such as putting reminders in your phone and around your house to make sure you prepared for such inconveniences in the future. As demonstrated in this example, because of your suffering, you are able to not only realize the significance of a weak point that you have and how much it subtly affected your life, but you also created new actions that are likely to become healthy habits on your journey to becoming the best version of you. Sometimes it takes going through pain, discomfort, and often even getting pissed off to ignite the desire to change your reality. Second, suffering helps you appreciate life. Unfortunately, it is often true that we don't know how good we have something until it's gone. This is why our distress can be the element necessary to shake up our reality, so that we may realize the things that we have been blessed with, so that they may be cherished as they rightfully should. For many reasons, such as comfort and sometimes simply ignorance, our appreciation for life seems to wane. However, in this case, suffering can be seen as a strong reminder that you being alive today should not be taken for granted. The truth often lies in understanding your suffering so that you can move forward from it. For example, let's say you have a really bad cold and you have migraines and a runny nose for weeks, and during that time, you couldn't do any of the activities that you loved, such as running track or simply hanging out with friends. Because you are so used to always being out, being unable to do those things will help put them in perspective. And once that cold subsides and your migraines are over, it is likely to have you feel that much more appreciative of the things that you love to do and the people that you like to see, because you know what it means to be without them. This concept can also be valued on a much larger scale. For example, let's say you've been in dire situations in your life and you've never had anyone to help you when you needed it most. No matter how you pleaded your case, not a friend, not a family member, or any acquaintance was there for you, so you were forced to figure things out yourself. Thus, when you actually do encounter a friend that genuinely cares for you, appreciates you wholly, and is there for you, you are much more likely to appreciate and hold on to them because you know exactly what it means to be without. As demonstrated in the example, when we go through tumultuous times in our lives, it can often be seen as a benchmark reminder for how far we have come in comparison to the reality that we see today. This by no means implies that you have to suffer or go through traumatic events in order to become more appreciative of your life. However, it does stress the fact that every moment in your life counts towards the fulfillment of your truth. And there is something to learn and appreciate at every step of the journey. So, give thanks, always. Finally, suffering humbles you. As opposed to resorting to self victimization, it is important to keep in mind that you will always be where you need to be when you need to be. Everything happens for a reason, and you can learn from every moment. For example, let's say you were betrayed gravely by a friend. This friend, who you were very fond of, suddenly decided to take advantage of you, betray your trust, and abandon you when you needed them the most. The pain you feel from this rupture is overbearing because you always believed this person to be a true friend. Consequently, not only are you hurt, but now you are bewildered about the true meaning of friendship because everything you felt was obviously a lie, wasn't it? However, through your suffering and through your time analyzing the situation and finding your peace, you later learned that that friend in question was never really your friend to begin with. And now that you can clearly see past the veil of emotions, you can denote that there were many instances where this so called friend actually intended to do you harm. But you took no offense at the time because you were so blinded by who you believed them to be that you couldn't see who they actually were. As said by steel pan soloist Mr. Pong, certain feelings are fleeting for you to be able to appreciate and build off of them even more than the last time. This rupture then becomes a blessing in disguise and changes the trajectory of your life so that you will be able to know and recognize real friendship and genuine relationships when they come your way in the future. No matter how bad a situation is, it is very human to adapt to your reality, which is a great thing. However, this becomes a problem when we start to lose track of what we deserve and what we need to feel complete. Thus, suffering keeps you open to life's lessons by humbling you in order to keep your heart open and mind exposed towards the truth that you may not want, but definitely the truth that you need to continue to prosper on your journey to being true to you. To put it all together, we can now assess that suffering plays a significant role in your life by inciting action, encouraging appreciation, and by humbling you. We can now clearly denote that suffering can have a purpose and also be very necessary to having a fulfilled and successful life. What do you think about suffering? I would love to read your comments as I finish this cup of tea, so please comment below. Like this channel and consider subscribing if you haven't already. That's it for today's episode of Tea with HC. Hope it helped you appreciate the significance of prevailing through your suffering on your journey. I'll see you here next time on Howell Consultations, the how to being true to you.